You know, we've been hearing so much about these cognitive tests he keeps acing. You guys know what ACE means? Okay. All right. And I've offered him the opportunity to take the test live on television. He still hasn't gotten back to me on it. So in the interest of fairness, and also to get a sense of what he keeps babbling about, we got in touch with a doctor who gives this test regularly.
When Jimmy Kimmel challenged Donald Trump to prove his IQ, many people first saw it as just another late-night joke. It looked like a comedian making fun of a politician who often brags about being smart. But within seconds, the challenge became about much more than a number. It turned into a test of confidence, insecurity, and Trump's habit of using his intelligence as a campaign slogan. Kimmel did not need secret documents or shocking evidence. He only needed to ask one simple question. If Trump is truly so brilliant, why does proving it upset him so much? For years, Trump has tried to sell the image that his mind is different from everyone else's. He speaks about genius like it is a prize hanging on the wall. He repeats stories about doctors being amazed, supporters being impressed, and critics being too low IQ to understand him. That kind of language works well at rallies because it sounds powerful and confident. But Kimmel understood the weakness hidden inside those claims. He knew that when someone keeps repeating how smart they are, it can sometimes reveal doubt instead of strength.
To take, or asked to take, by the way, these cognitive exams, they're about as difficult as the maze on the back of the box of Captain Crunch, but he's still very proud of his performance.
But I've taken now 3 cognitive tests. I've aced every single one of them.
When someone keeps repeating the same claim again and again, the repetition itself can start to feel like proof of doubt. That is exactly where Kimmel's challenge began turning into a trap. He presented it almost politely. If the claim matters so much, then take the test. If the label of genius is real, let the results speak for themselves. If critics are wrong, prove them wrong in the simplest and clearest way possible. The audience laughed because the challenge sounded obvious, but it also sounded risky. Trump's public image has long depended on never allowing others to decide his worth. He prefers to be the one giving the grades, not receiving them. Kimmel's dare was asking him to hand the pencil to someone else. That small shift made the moment powerful. That is why the reaction mattered more than the challenge itself. Trump did not need to panic in some dramatic way for viewers to understand the pressure. Sometimes silence, hesitation, or avoidance can say more than an angry response ever could. Kimmel knew the real test was never about IQ. It was about control.
There's nothing wrong with him. He said the White House doctors have reported he's in perfect health and that I aced, meaning was correct on 100% of the questions asked. He defines the word aced for, like we're the ones with dementia. I aced for the 3rd straight time my cognitive exam, something which no other president or previous vice president.
Panic does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like deflection. It can look like attacking the host, mocking the ratings, calling the show terrible, or pretending the question is too small to matter, while still responding loudly enough for everyone to notice. Kimmel's point was simple. If the joke means nothing, then why give it so much attention? But that was only the beginning. Kimmel turned the IQ challenge into something larger, a question about leadership. He reminded viewers that a country is not run on imaginary test scores. Grocery prices do not drop because a man calls himself a genius. Foreign conflicts do not end because someone brags about his brain. Families do not feel safer because a politician wins a fake intelligence contest against a comedian. Real intelligence appears in judgment, patience, focus, and the ability to listen when the truth is uncomfortable. For many older Americans watching, that message likely felt familiar. They have known loud men who mistake confidence for wisdom. They have seen bosses, salesmen, and politicians use certainty like armor. They understand that true intelligence is usually quieter. It asks questions. It keeps learning. It admits limits. It does not demand applause after every sentence. Kimmel trusted that shared life experience and used it to sharpen the joke. The more Trump pushed back, the more Kimmel's challenge seemed to work. If Trump accepted, the stunt became serious. If he refused, the boast looked weak. If he attacked Kimmel, it suggested the comedian had touched a nerve. That is the perfect late-night trap. Every exit leads back to the same question. Why is someone who claims to be untouchable so easy to provoke? That is why the audience roared. They were not only laughing at Trump, they were laughing at a familiar pattern. Trump often says he does not care, then proves he cares. He calls people irrelevant, then spends time answering them. He says he is too smart to be challenged, then reacts as if the challenge hit exactly where it hurt. Kimmel did not need to announce victory. Trump's reaction did that work on its own. By the end, the IQ dare was no longer about intelligence. It became about temperament. A president, or anyone asking to lead a country, must be able to handle criticism without turning every joke into a personal battle. Strength is not insulting a comedian. Strength is ignoring what does not matter and answering what does. That is why the moment stayed with people. Kimmel challenged Trump to prove his IQ, but the real test was never on paper. The real test was composure. Trump's reaction said more than any score ever could. It showed that the weakest part of the genius image may not be the number itself, but the fear of being asked for proof under bright lights in front of a laughing nation. In that moment, the joke became a mirror, showing the difference between loud self-praise and quiet self-control.